and welcome everyone to this really beautiful opportunity actually today, because today I am bringing you the voice of a leader, a true genius CEO in her own right. And today we are celebrating because this woman who has transformed a lot of the ideas in business that have been around for creatives out there has actually become an author today. And not just an author, but a best-selling author today. And I'm also having trouble with my captions. So maybe she'll be able to help me with it. As you can see from my caption that I eventually got for you, I'm Marianne Smith. I'm the founder of Genius Leadership and Genius CEO, and I support executives and business owners globally to be able to step into their genius leadership so that they can create purpose-driven lives and businesses that are not just highly profitable, but they also love. And today, everybody, I'm wanting you to give a great big welcome to Genius CEO Jenny Drew, who is joining me to tell us all about her new book today, which is called Stop Playing Small and has been released on Amazon. And Jenny, I cannot believe, but I believe that you're a best-selling author already.
Apparently so. I can't believe it either. This is absolute madness. Thank you so much for chatting to me, Marianne.
You are so welcome. So today we're going live across a few Facebook platforms. We're out on YouTube and into LinkedIn today as well. And the sun is glorious here, but it's just turned round enough to make a mess of my lighting. But unfortunately, I haven't yet got any control over it. So we're just going to have to work with that. But the main thing, Jenny, I put a little description up for everybody to read when we decided to stream this. But maybe you could bring your voice into the room by sharing a little bit about you and who you are.
Sure. So I own a company called So Confident. So I've been in business for 10 years and we teach sewing classes and predominantly to women with a focus on the social and the de-stressing side of the hobby. So we've been doing that for 10 years, like I said. And this book has probably been at the back of my mind for a long time. I even remember joking when I was at university. I did fashion business at uni a long time ago. And after what was a honestly terrible fourth year dissertation, I remember going home and being like, I think I'd like to be a published author one day. And I mean, bless mom and dad, they are incredibly supportive of everything. But I think even they were like, you failed your whole degree because your dissertation was so awful, and now you're telling me that you want to write a book. They didn't say that, but I could tell they were thinking it. But it was always kind of at the back of my mind, and then just it's weird the way it happened. Like I joined a mastermind that had the book. Like you were encouraged to write a book in that mastermind, and then this just kind of came out of my brain onto paper, and it's surreal.
Wow.
I still can't believe
Wow.
that it exists and that my name's on it and all the rest of it. But it's basically a book helping creative females with creative businesses to stop playing small. So to realize that actually you don't have to just have a wee coffee table business. If you want to just have a coffee table business, that's absolutely fine, by the way. You don't a kitchen table business, you don't have to just have, a wee bit on the side. It doesn't have to be just a wee side hustle. You can grow a big business. You can, have multiple locations. You can have staff. You can make really nice money for yourself if you want to, and if you can believe in yourself and turn obstacles kind of on their head, because I do feel that being a female business owner, you might feel the same way, Marianne. You can be up against it depending on the industry that you're in, versus perhaps a man in the same kind of job. So I really wanted to write all my experiences down and what I learned from them, and add in lots of tools, actual practical tools that you can use to scale your business.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So this sounds like a real must have, I suppose, for people out there, creatives. I am one of them. you know that I am a creative at heart, because whenever I get a chance, I go off and I paint and make
Oh,
stuff and
cool.
get the sewing. I know, but now I just don't get enough time to get the sewing machine out as often as I would love to. So when it comes to your journey, Jenny, what would you say was the biggest challenge that you faced?
I feel like there's been several, and I call them growth road humps actually, when you come up
Yeah,
against something and it feels completely insurmountable, and you're just like, "Oh my god, how am I gonna get over this? I don't know what to do. This could be it. Maybe I've hit the final brick wall," and somehow you always get over it, and when you look back, you're like, "That was nothing, actually," and then
yeah,
another one, and then another one. So, probably the last growth road hump that I had was opening the new premises for our Glasgow flagship in Great Western Road in Glasgow. And there were times when I just thought everything that could go wrong was going wrong. And again, property, my experience of anything to do with property is it is the most sexist
oh,
industry I have ever had to deal with. And thankfully I don't have to deal with it that often, but it blows my mind the
yeah,
way the way women can be treated and the way I was spoken to by different people, to be honest with you.
yeah,
Anyway, got over it. So that's probably the biggest thing because it was a massive refurb. I was so out the comfort zone. I was project managing essentially, which I have never done before. And although I got help from good old Carol Devaney, who is
yeah,
like a master of that sort of thing, it just I thought this is going to finish me off. And to be honest, I feel like I've still got a hangover from it because obviously we only
yeah,
opened 5 weeks ago, and I'm still feeling like could do with
yeah,
a wee week in the sun somewhere to recover from that.
yeah.
But that was probably the biggest thing. That or franchising the business. That was a tough one as well.
So I have to just notice something, Jenny, because you have just talked about lots of people will be sitting there, maybe got a job, sitting with their kids, doing their creative craft, whatever that may be, doesn't need to be sewing, um, and thinking, I wish I had a shop. I wish that I could franchise. And to them, it is just a million miles away. And yet here you are, and you did both. You've done both. So, see if you were to think about those people sitting there who haven't been able to make that first step, who are sitting with those amazing creative gifts and just do not know how to get it out into the world. What advice would you be giving them?
I would say that first of all, I was thinking about this in the car the other day actually, because I'm just a normal person. There's actually nothing
Yeah,
particularly there's nothing special about me. I just happen to kind of believe in myself maybe a little bit more than the average person, which goes a long way. But you can learn that, and I think I have learned that through a lot of reading a lot of books, a lot of personal development, which I think is, I mean, podcasts. You don't even have to read books if you're not. You can listen to books, you can get it on a Kindle, you can listen to podcasts. All kinds of personal development, I think, helps with that sort of thing. But I would say just open your mind to what your business actually might look like. So you might be thinking, right, I'm really good at knitting, so I'm going to make stuff and sell it. Well, actually,
yeah,
there's a million different things that you could do with that. You could go into like the mental health space and maybe teach people how to knit in order to be mindful. You could indeed go down a design route, but the thing that I think a lot of specifically creatives, because that's kind of what I'm interested in and what I know about, is that they think, right, I have this skill, so I will sell these things.
yeah,
And that's not always the way to go. Like it's hard. Retail is hard, and making money out of physically making things is really, really difficult. And it's perhaps just about doing a big mind map of, yeah, these are all the skills that I've got. Let's think up 15 different businesses that could actually come out of these skills. And you'll have several different skills. So it could be, yeah, you're good at knitting, but actually you're also a really good people person. So you're good at getting groups together and getting them on board with an idea.
yeah,
Or it could be that you're really good with tech stuff. So is there some
yeah.
kind of app that could come out of this knitting then? So it's just about, I think, thinking outside the box about what could the business look like, and not always just the I have this skill that makes things, thus I will sell things I make.
Absolutely. And it's that own, your own expansion of your mind and ideas is the thing that I think doesn't really matter what type of business that you're in. The most successful people have went beyond what they thought they could ever be. And certainly I know I have sold a few things in my time. And when I look back, we were talking a few years back now when I did portraiture and stuff, but at that time, the hours involved, Jenny,
Yeah.
were phenomenal. But the price that people were willing to pay me, or should I say, that I was prepared to ask for and accept,
Mm.
was very different compared to it. Very different.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I talk about this in the book. I talk about pricing in the book. I talk about the kind of psychology of pricing. And I talk about figuring out whether your business is actually viable. Like, are you flogging a dead horse here? Because if
Yeah.
so, change direction. Because it's hard to make money out of selling stuff unless you're going into, big production, and which is
Yeah.
an option, by the way. That should be on your mind map if that's an option. But it's
Yeah.
about, rather than thinking that would be thinking big, I would say. That would be, actually I've got a real talent for this. My designs are amazing. So how do I scale that and not make everything myself by hand?
Mm.
There's so much opportunity out there. And I think
Mm.
once you get over the first wee hurdle and you get a business that works, what the problem becomes further down the line, I don't know if you feel this as well, is there are so many opportunities and there are so many different avenues that you can go down that it's hard for you to even remember when you could hardly even think up, one business idea, because suddenly you've got them every day. Like you've got 100 business ideas coming out your brain every day, and then it's about managing that.
Absolutely. And there's that transition, isn't it, from also when you've been a creative and you're sitting there doing this thing that you absolutely love. And I'm telling this story genuinely from the heart because I used to have a beauty business, high street beauty business. I eventually had, but for a couple of years before that, I was happily doing things on the side and enjoying it and having my pals up and their friends would come up and it was all very sociable and lovely. Then, when I transitioned into having my own business, everybody said I needed to because I was really good at it and it'd be fantastic. I had to learn a whole new set of skills,
Mhm.
which 20 years ago I didn't learn very well. Do you know? And what was a passion for me that was really creative and connected with people, working on my strength, I ended up hating. Do you know? And if you were to ask me nowadays, will you do a set of nails? I would say, no chance. I'll give you the money to go and get them done. Do you know?
Oh, I know. And I think I've had people say
So
to me,
my question, I suppose, is how does your book, because I wouldn't want anybody else to have that journey because I didn't have your book at that time. I didn't have people like you with that knowledge to be able to say, do this, don't do that. So how does that book help somebody, whether they are just at that place of thinking, do I, don't I, or should I, or shouldn't I, or whether they are in the business and it's maybe just not hitting the markers that they had set out for themselves.
I think I would say, particularly with your example there of when you just hated all the beauty stuff eventually, that sounds to me like you liked the beauty stuff, and
Loved it.
and then it sucked the life out of you because you were maybe doing it all the time. I don't actually know if you had people working for you or whatever, but
I did.
you did as well, and you still hated it. So maybe it's just
But do you want me to hear? But the thing is, because I didn't understand the business and I was scared because you were mentioning about the whole money mindset part that you've got in your book. Now, I was too scared to give up my job fully. So I kept a part of this. Now, listen to this, Jenny. I'm glad I'm sitting down. I was working part time as a senior therapist in the NHS. I just had my third baby, and all three, she was under one, and all three children were under the age of 7. And I had, no, husband really, really ill, and I was about to get divorced.
I mean, that sounds like nothing to do with beauty and everything to do with growing up. Just too much going on, like, of course, like, no wonder. I'm surprised you can even stand to get your own nails done after that. That sounds pretty overwhelming.
But
Um,
you know, it's just not knowing what's involved in it and how do you keep. I honestly think that this. I know that all sounds awful, but that's the reality of life.
yeah.
Do you know we all have complex lives, and yet I truly believe that I've had someone like you, the book, to be able to guide me, to be able awareness of what was going on for myself. Maybe I would have waited a little bit longer before I launched into it. Maybe I would have done it sooner.
Mhm.
And maybe I would have made different decisions that would have made that journey the joy in my life rather than another thing to do.
Yeah, or maybe it just ran its course, I think there's something to be said
Mm,
for that as well, when sometimes
yeah,
you're like, you learn a lot from just getting stuck in sometimes when you don't really know exactly what you're doing. That was definitely the case for me when I was younger. But I was also super risk averse. And again, I talk about this in the book about it's not all. I think there's this perception about business owners where they'll literally go from, you've got a really nice job, you've got a mortgage, you've got a good car, to the next day handing in your notice, like you don't even know where your next paycheck's coming from, all that sort of thing. And actually, see, for most business owners I know, that was not their story at all. And a lot of them
yeah,
actually aren't risk takers either. I, back then, was not a risk taker. When I started my business, it was on the side of, like, I had 3 other little jobs. It was in the recession, in 2012. It was mad. I was younger, so I had a lot of energy, and I was like, I kept my overheads really low. I kept everything really lean so that I knew that, if it didn't work, I hadn't invested, I wasn't going to lose my house over anything. Because I feel
yeah,
like, or if you're like me and you're not a massive risk taker, the pressure of something that big, like, if you don't make this work, you will lose your house. It does not work for me. I cannot work under that
yeah,
pressure. I can work under other pressure, so I can work under time pressure. Now I'm a lot better, with taking risks because I've got a lot of experience of what works and what doesn't work from doing it in the past. But that fear state for me, it makes me disappear, like, "Goodbye, I'm not doing this anymore." So that wouldn't have worked for me, and I know that it wouldn't have worked, maybe it is a creative thing, I'm not sure, but I know that it wouldn't have
yeah,
worked for a lot of people, so I talk about that in the book as well, about, you don't have to
yeah,
just one day wake up and be like, "That's it, I'm handing in my notice and I'll figure it out," and, the fear will make it work. For me, that's not the case at all, and there are better ways to build your business, and yeah, to do it in a calm way that doesn't get you so stressed out that eventually you'd make yourself ill, because that is what would happen with me. I would be ill
oh,
with
aye.
the pressure. So there's
And
just
it's that
the ways to do it.
absolutely, and I think for creatives as well, because they can often get caught up in the being called a hustle.
Mhm.
Do you know you're a hustle? Well, does that not just? I don't know about you, but it kind of puts businesses here in hustle.
Yeah.
Doesn't even feel like it's coming on, and it devalues actually what they're doing. And I'll often say to people who have been labelled as hustlers, do you know, are you making money? Yep. Are you making a profit? Yep. Are you loving what you're doing? Yep. Right, you've got a business.
Yeah. There's
You've
a
got a
there
business.
Yeah, totally, and I think there's a thing about women not wanting to say they're a business owner, and I've had
Mhm.
this similar conversation with people before, or they'll dismiss it and they'll be pure, "Oh, it's just a wee thing I do on the side," and I'm like, "Right, well, you've got the website, you've been doing it for a year and a half, you're making X amount of money, you're profitable, plus you're a business owner, like, you're not
Yeah.
somebody who's just, doing a wee thing on the side, like, own it."
Absolutely. Step right into the leadership of it, isn't it? But
Absolutely.
again, it comes back to you only know what you know. And I know back then I was really good at what I did. I had lots of customers that told me what I did was great. There was only one of me. I didn't know how to bring on staff. I wasn't really sure what I was doing about business. And really, all I wanted to do was the treatments and have a nice time. So, having this type of insight so valuable. So let us move on to actually see what this book looks like because I love the cover on it. I just thought it screamed of you.
Oh, did you?
Completely screamed
I
of you.
I hope this little piece of it
Honestly.
me.
I just thought that is so Jenny, that front cover. It really is. So tell us the kinds of chapters that are in it, or maybe you've got a favourite chapter that you want to share a little bit about.
So, I mean, I feel like this whole book is a bit of a it's just a brain dump from me, to be honest, of, if somebody said to me, if you went away on holiday with me for a week and someone was like, I have a business and I need to scale it, this is exactly pretty much what I would tell them to do. It's full of stories, actual stories of things that have happened to me, as well as little nuggets of go away, do this, such as figuring out at what point can I actually afford to bring on staff or outsource things, because I feel like no one
Yeah.
really told me about that. And it was a total guessing game. In actual fact, I probably could have brought on staff way before I did, because I was so unsure about even just a basic kind of cash flow forecast. I just didn't know really much about it. Despite, by the way, having a business degree, because I mean,
The irony, isn't it?
I
The
know.
irony of it. I know.
But probably one of my favorite chapters is being underestimated and what to do about it.
Oh.
And it's all
Share
about
a bit about it. Share a bit about it, because I know everybody listening will that will have just hit them hard and resonated. Because I don't think there's some one person out there that hasn't been an experience at some point in life. So this is all transferable. What you're about to say, I have no doubt.
I just feel like there has been so many times when I have been either kind of dismissed
Yeah.
or made to feel like I didn't really belong in the room because I was younger sometimes, actually, because I started a business when I was 24. So either too young or
Wow.
female or creative, or because I wasn't wearing a suit, because I don't really do suits and I'm not going to dress up for other people if it's not appropriate for me. Um,
Yeah.
Especially, I would say, in the franchise world, actually. Property world's bad as well. Franchise world is very, like, suited and booted, quite old-fashioned, I would say. Don't get me wrong, there's
Yeah.
tons of amazing people I've met as well, but they it was making me mad. I would go to networking events and then I would be dismissed, or people wouldn't be interested in talking to me, or they would try and just sell to me straight away, and it just
Yeah.
I was just angry. There's definitely some, like, Alanis Morissette-esque angst running through this book, and I'm a sort of feminist as well, so there's a little, you can definitely get that vibe throughout the book, but I spent probably 6 years just raging about it and just being like, they won't take me seriously. I would tell them I had a sewing business and they'd be like, "Oh, that's nice. I tell you what, my gran used to take up hems and all that." And I'd be like, "That's lovely, but that's like I'm past that. Like, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've got a franchise and your people were still not taking me seriously." And it used to drive me mad. Meanwhile, I would see a man being taken seriously who hadn't even, like, started a business yet, or he just had an idea, and honestly, it just used to drive me absolutely mad. And then in more recent years, I have kind of figured out, first of all, pick your battles.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what people think, actually, and use it to fuel you to become the best that you can be. So rather than going home and being like, "You'll never believe what happened to me today," just getting furious
Yeah.
about it, I'd be like, "I am going to meet that person in a year's time, and I can't wait to give them a business card, and they're going to want to wish that they befriended me the first time round." So there was definitely a little bit of
Absolutely.
that, and it depends on the kind of personality you are, but that sort of thing really fuels me to succeed. It's not the
Yeah.
only thing that fuels me to succeed, but, if someone says that you'll never be able to do something, or that they don't think it'll work, or, "Oh, that's a cute wee business you've got," there is just nothing that fuels me more, actually, than somebody saying, "That's cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wee crafty business," and I'm like, "I will be back in a year. Let's
Absolutely.
see what a wee, craft business can do." So
Yeah.
not really throughout the book, but that chapter is pretty much about turning negatives into positives and using them to fuel your kind of success and growth in your business.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, as we mentioned at the beginning of this interview, today it is out for sale. Today, the first day ever. It's already in the award winning. It's in the top category, top of the categories for a number of categories already. But tell everybody of your book, Stop Playing Small by Jenny Drew?
It is on Amazon, so you can just search for it, Stop Playing Small. It should come up. And there is the Kindle version, and there's also the paperback version. There's a hardback that I'm thinking will be up tomorrow. But
Wow.
yeah, it is pretty easy to find on there, and this is what it looks like. So you can see it from the wee picture.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Jenny, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you so much.
So much. And it's a real privilege, I have to say. I mean, there's been lots of milestones. If we think back 18 months or so, just to where things were. And there was no book there, and there was other things in business. There was no shop there at that point.
There was
And
not.
here we are talking about all of this, and you have all that to share with other people. So, folks, today on Amazon, Stop Playing Small, and we have had the pleasure of having are officially a genius leader and a genius CEO, Jenny Drew. So much for sharing all these amazing insights about your book, about your journey, and actually having the courage to step up in a way that allows you to share all of that with us. Because 20 years on, I wish I'd had you back then. So thank you so
Thank
much for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us yet again for another Genius CEO Meet the Author. And I look forward to seeing you back here again soon. Take care, everyone.